Welcome to Bet On It. I'm Kelly Stewart, your host tonight. We're going to break down this week's NFL card with Gianni, the Greek gambler, at Greek_gambler on Twitter, and Marco D'Angelo at Marco in Vegas. And I, of course, am Kelly in Vegas, the original in Vegas Twitter handle. Let's get this show started with this week's primetime games. That's right, we're going to the Sunday night game to start. Marco, you're up first.
I could say some bad words on this one with the Seattle Seahawks. You know, we look at this and we look at the numbers.
I'm so frustrated. I agree with you. I'm very frustrated as well. I was frustrated on Monday night. I had the Vikings +3. I'm just glad I didn't lose by the missed PAT from Dan Bailey.
Oh, I was rooting. When it was sitting at 4 after he missed that extra point, I was rooting for Seattle to get the field goal because I did.
I want to lose by that, yeah.
Yeah, I would have been throwing stuff, you know. And there's a certain bar I go to every Monday night to watch the games, and the waitress that, you know, really takes good care of us every week, she is a big Seattle Seahawks fan. And
so
she had all of her gear on and everything, and so she was having fun with it with me, and I'm like,
you're like, this is not the time.
Yeah,
I tell people that all the time.
Yeah, you know. It's fun to be a fan, but, you know, we don't discuss betting games and what was writing on that. I had a 5% play, full disclosure. I loved the Minnesota Vikings.
So did I. It
was the right side.
The Vikings moved the football all over the place. They just stopped themselves with just ugly turnovers that turned into quick
random ones.
And then that one blown coverage. Oh my God, Kelly, you could have threw that touchdown.
Xavier Rhodes is definitely on my naughty list for Christmas right now. We're fighting, and it made me really miss Terrence Newman.
Yeah, I love when he comes off the field and he's slamming his helmet and everything.
Well, at least that's him. I think him taking ownership of knowing that he did something wrong and he was more mad at himself.
Yeah.
Because
But did you notice that when the guy that fumbled the football, you know, on the side there, and he come over there and he's like, it's all right, man. Yeah, no shit. You just gave up a 60-yard touchdown. Missed the guy. But let's seriously to this game. You look at Seattle. They could end up with the best record in the NFL, and it's going to absolutely blow my mind because the numbers don't support what they're doing. If they did not have Russell Wilson, and I know Lamar Jackson's going to win the MVP, you know, he's the favorite. But this team is absolutely nowhere without Russell Wilson. The defense is not good. They give up yardage left and right. What surprised me last week was, and that was the key to me having the 5% play on Minnesota, is I did not see Seattle being able to run the football the way they did against Minnesota. They ran the football 43 times for 218 yards. The Vikings have a good defense. That was impressive for me. But this is the season for the Rams. They need this win. They got some confidence. Yeah, it was against Arizona last week. But after that Monday night game, the way they were embarrassed, and to come back and, you know, put up big numbers last week shows me the team didn't quit. And if you remember,
that's fair. I would agree with that. They did show
because they quit the third quarter of the Baltimore game at Monday night.
Yes.
They absolutely flat out quit. But remember, these two played on a Thursday night game earlier in the season. The Rams should have won the game.
We were at
They missed the
WagerTalk
field goal.
dinner. I remember watching on my phone next to the Seafood Tower.
Yeah.
We saw him miss the field goal late.
Yeah. I almost didn't order dessert after that.
Almost is a key word.
Yeah.
VR, you're sitting there right with us enjoying that one. Your thoughts? I mean, I'm looking at the Rams as well, but
it's tough to take the Rams because they haven't been playing very well. But this is pretty much their season. If you look at what they have ahead, there's some big games. If they lose this one, it's not going to turn out well for them. Their season's pretty much going to be done. Bottom line is the wrong team was favored when they brought this line out. And I think that's why you're seeing the money towards the Rams and from the sharps jumping on the home dog. And I won't be surprised if the Rams go to favorite before this game kicks off. But I think the books have more than enough Seattle money come Sunday to offset that, and they'll probably end up needing the Rams. Listen, Seattle's that team that has defied probability, and what I mean by that is never in the history of the NFL has a team been only plus 36 in point differential and been able to win 10 football games. So they're doing it with smoke and mirrors. There's a ton of randomness involved when you win one-possession games like that.
But VR, my timeline said all Monday night, how are you going to bet against Russell Wilson in prime time?
Yeah, of course, because it's not factored into the line at all. They don't. No one thought of that.
Oh, sorry.
Throw one last thing in there on the Seattle defense. Minnesota only had 20 minutes of time of possession in that game, but they scored 30 points with 20 minutes time. That's pretty impressive. I think the Rams get their points this week.
We should keep just talking about this game because I don't want to
this
talk
one's
about
ugly
Monday
night.
God, who scheduled this Monday night game? Giants at Philly. Sounds like Eli Manning is coming back. I saw a funny tweet that was like, everybody thinks Eli Manning, who's been eating hot dogs and drinking Bud Light the last couple of months, is going to come in and beat the Eagles. And I go, now he probably will. Now that I saw that tweet, he probably will have the best game we've seen him have all season. This one's tough. VR, I'm going to kick it back to you.
Well, last week, you know why I was so big on Cincinnati. They brought back Andy Dalton for one reason only, to save the Bengals from going over.
And it sure
That's not
worked
the
out
case
well.
here with the Giants. I mean, the Giants just don't know what to do.
But they've been covering road games this year. The Giants have
That's
been a good
true, and
road
that's
underdog.
why I can tell you this for certainty. The betting syndicates are looking for Giants plus 10. Anytime 10's popped up, they've picked off the Giants. In fact, one of the groups that I provide accounts for did that exact thing this morning. I had no intentions of even touching this game, and now I have some risk on it because I take a percentage of it, so I'll have Giants plus 10 and have some risk. But again, I had no intentions.
I'm shocked that after the Eagles lost to the Dolphins that anybody's even wanting to back the Eagles here.
Honestly, I did. I just thought that, again, the Eagles, on paper, they look better than their record is. And I think people have given up on them. I mean, what they've covered only two of their last 7 games. So no one's in a rush to bet the Eagles. But I thought this is a game where they'll come out Monday night and blow out a team like the Giants. So I was prepared to either back the Eagles or pass. But again, like I said, sharp money took plus 10. So use it as you will.
Marco, your thoughts on this lovely Monday night football game?
Under.
Okay.
Yeah,
Under.
there you go.
And here's the thing. First of all, Philadelphia has to be – they bottomed out last week, losing to Miami and losing in the fact that they gave up 37 points in that game. Prior to that, this is a team that held previous 4 opponents to 17 points or less. Prior to that, this defense was playing tremendous.
I mean, you have to also remember that Miami's pulling out all the stops. I mean, weird, crazy trick plays that I was very impressed by.
And Fitzmagic.
I mean,
it's Fitzmagic.
He does have moments of greatness. I mean, that's why he's been a journeyman in the NFL, and he took advantage of an Eagles team who, frankly, was overlooking this team.
You know who hasn't had moments of greatness lately?
Eli Manning.
Eli Manning, okay?
Or Carson Wentz.
And this is the thing, and because the turnovers and stuff, and Wentz has not been playing well, I see a game plan where they're going to let the defense take control of this game.
Makes sense.
They're going to have a simpler game plan, not throwing. You can't keep throwing the football as many times as they've been throwing the football, Philadelphia, and be successful. Rely on that defense. And what are the Giants going to do? They're going to hand the football off to Barkley.
They have to. I mean, there's no way Schumer is going to let Eli air this one out. And even if they do, who's he going to throw it to?
Right. And bringing him back now at this point, what's that say for your high draft choice that you did? You just totally took off. But again, they've done nothing. They've had the last 3 games for the Giants. 280.
If it was Daniel Jones, I would back the Giants here on the road spot. But because it's Eli, I think it's too much of a wild card.
That's why, exactly. That's how
283, 243, 335 yards. That's all they've generated in the last 3 weeks, the Giants. Good luck. I'm going under on Monday night. Going to be a snooze fest.
Let's keep cashing those primetime unders. Great stuff from these guys. We're going to step out for a quick break. When we return, that's right, we're going to dig inside those numbers, look at which lines have moved in the NFL and why. Those 12-day numbers are really important so we can look ahead, figure out what we're going to bet, and that's up next on Bet On It.
Get $25 in WagerBucks added to your account after your first purchase at WagerTalk.com and SportsMemo.com. This is just our way of saying thank you for joining the WagerTalk and SportsMemo family.
Did you know every Tuesday is $2 Tuesday at WagerTalk.com? We pick the hottest handicapper and offer his best bet for just $2. This is a great way to introduce yourself to the winning handicappers at WagerTalk and SportsMemo.com. Okay, let's take a deep dive into some of these lines that moved. As I mentioned before, the Westgate here in Vegas always puts out the NFL lines 12 days before. They call those the look-ahead lines. You can bet next week's games before this week's games are played. Once this week's games are played, next week's lines are going to change. The question is, are these moves justified or are they an overreaction by the public? Let's start off with one of the ones that I think is an overreaction. Baltimore at Buffalo. Baltimore -7, now down to 5.5. Mr. Marco D'Angelo.
Yeah, everybody was loving Baltimore, and they win last week but don't cover, and now we're moving the line 1.5 points. What? Because Buffalo beat Dallas, who's in total disarray right now, Jerry's world.
And they've had extra rest.
Yeah, well, I think this one's an overreaction. I'm not saying I like ball,
or that you're going to lay a touchdown on the road.
But I don't think this move is warranted. Buffalo's win was impressive, but let's not forget that Dallas is not playing good football right now.
Speaking of not really playing good football, but looked good last week, Washington at Green Bay. Green Bay minus 14.5. Now they're a 13-point favorite because Washington won as a double-digit underdog.
Yeah, I had Washington last week. Is it warranted? Maybe. I mean, I'm not surprised the line moved down. We're seeing what we've seen over the last couple of weeks, and that's anytime betting syndicates could get double digits in the NFL, they're going to take it, even though there's been a span of a smaller sample size where that's been a losing proposition. They're still old school. They look at a huge sample size, and long term, it's been profitable. So I'm not surprised to see the early short money come in on Washington.
All right, Marco, the Broncos beat the Chargers at Mile High. Houston beats last year's Super Bowl champs, the Patriots. This line moves from Houston minus 7.5 to Houston now minus 9.5.
Well, Kelly, we've got two things in play here. First of all, obviously Houston looked very good on Sunday Night Football, so you're going to see a movement. Even though Denver won, who'd they beat?
The Chargers.
They beat the Chargers, and on a last-second field goal, on a very questionable interference call and everything else. So I understand that. But part of this is also because of the teaser blocker. It's 7.5. The books know that if they put this up at 7.5 or 8, they're going to get drilled with 6-point teasers.
Of course
By
they will.
taking it to 9.5, you've got to get it under the field goal. You've got to use a 7-point teaser, which they'll trade that for you laying the extra juice with a 7-point teaser. So that's the issue there and why you're seeing the move here. Is it warranted? Houston's playing better, but let's face it, when it was 7.5, the minute it got to 8 and 8.5 is the same thing.
Nothing, so they just move it to 9.5.
Yeah.
You're right.
So,
okay, very good point. All right, VR, we were both on Cincinnati last week at Cleveland. Cincinnati versus the Jets. They got the win. The Browns, not so much. They looked pretty terrible against the Steelers, as we sort of predicted they would. This one opened Cleveland minus 10.5, now down to 8.5.
I do not think that's warranted, Kelly. I think that's just an overreaction on the fact one team looked good and one team looked bad. And for Cincinnati, I mean, they did what the goal was. Bring in Andy Dalton and get a win so we're not 0 for 16 when the season's over. Now that pressure's off. And I think you're probably going to see that Cincinnati team you saw over the first 10, 11, 12 weeks. I doubt you're going to see the Cincinnati of last week again. Cleveland plays them twice in the next 4 weeks. I think Cleveland's going to have a field day with them. I mean, they crushed them last year, by 2 touchdowns the first game and then by over a touchdown the second game. I think it resembles last season.
All right,
the Red Rifle's back, though.
That's true. I haven't bet it. I
was happy with them last week. All right, speaking of the worst quarterback in the league, Indianapolis at Tampa Bay. Tampa Bay opened -1 here at home. Now, Jameis getting all the love again, and I said last week that was my one loser on Sunday, the Jags. Holy hell, are we going to lay 3 with Jameis? I don't know. This is scary.
Have you ever seen that gift where the girl goes, WTF? What?
Yeah.
That's what I got to say here.
Yeah.
Are you kidding me? Jumping in on buying the Jameis Winston, drinking the Kool-Aid? No, I can't do it. And first of all, the Indianapolis loss. Okay, people, if you just look at the score, it was 31-17. Looks like they got blown out. People, they were 17-17 with like 5 minutes left in the game.
I'm not going to lie, I watched not 1 second of that game. It was we were at the Westgate, all of us, and it was like on the upper left-hand corner because I, of course, put all the
Which that was the only early game that I had on Saturday, Sunday, and you guys had it.
I put the Steelers front and center for you.
You put it over on the side. It wasn't on the big screen. The big screen
the Niners,
was the Niners, Baltimore, which it deserved. So, but I had the far corner to watch my Steelers, and then the other corner to watch where my money was. And I see how I rate there, and then that's a whole nother story. I tell you about the cleanup after when Kelly waves at me when they're leaving.
I was definitely leaving. Yeah. I was like, I'm out.
But no, Kelly, you can't. This is not justified. But as I said, Indianapolis was 17-17 lining up to kick a go-ahead field goal that gets blocked because Adam Vinatieri can't lift his leg. Okay,
that's very crazy.
It goes for a touchdown, and all of a sudden, it's they get a late touchdown to make it a 14-point margin. It was not. That was not. Very misleading. Indianapolis, a lot of value here with this number.
All right, VR. Pittsburgh at Arizona. Open to pick. Pittsburgh handles business. Arizona gets throttled. Pittsburgh now a 3-point favorite on the road.
Yeah, I'm surprised. I'm not surprised. I believe it's unwarranted, meaning I expected it to happen, but I don't think it's warranted. This is just a reaction of last week and the fact that Arizona just hasn't looked good of late. I mean, they've lost now 5 straight games, where the Steelers are pretty much the surprise of the 2019 season based on the injuries that they've had. This is a team that's not supposed to be where they are right now, and bettors are loving it. And that's once everybody starts talking about a team, that's when you need to slow down. And I think that's where their stock's going through the roof right now.
Yeah, their stock is pretty high. I would love to see them win a couple more games for my season win total over, but I do think you're right. The Arizona side.
You'll get there because they got the Jets.
Did you take the yes on the playoffs too with the Steelers?
I did not.
So that's they're in play. They control their own destiny for the playoffs.
All right, Tennessee at Oakland, open to pick 'em. Now Tennessee is a 2.5-point road favorite. Yes, you mentioned that the Indianapolis-Tennessee game was a little fraudulent. Does that mean you also agree now that Oakland should not be a 2.5-point home underdog?
No, they shouldn't be. And it's the biggest overreaction of the week. Yes, they got drilled by Kansas City, but it's Kansas City. That offense,
regular season team in football.
They own the Raiders too. Let's just be honest. They absolutely have owned the Raiders.
The Raiders have been horrendous in the last 2 games. So yeah, the public, Vegas knows the public's only going to bet this game one way, and
they love those short road favorites.
Absolutely, and that's where you got the Tennessee. So it is not warranted. It's an overreaction.
Okay, guys, we're inside the numbers now. We're going for your teasers of the week. Marco, I'm going to kick it back to you. Tell me who you're teasing. 7-point teaser this week.
This week I got to use a 7-point teaser, so we're laying a little bit more juice. Hey, but
can
guys,
you remind me what's the most juice you should be? I don't bet 7-point teasers. I always tell people 6-point teasers minus 120 is the most you should lay.
Yeah, 140.
140 if you're doing 7-point. Thank you.
And the situation here, and we've been good with these teasers. The teaser section's done very well. We're going to go Monday night to Philadelphia, and that's the reason we got to use the 7 points, because they pushed us to 9.5 to get us off the teaser. But I want no part of the New York Giants. I don't care Eli Manning. I don't care if it's Peyton Manning. I don't care if they tag team. Okay, they
call Archie and Cooper to come play.
Yeah, okay. We're not doing it. Philadelphia is not going to lose this game on Monday Night Football. If they do, wow, you got to start thinking about, some wholesale changes. And Carson Wentz, I think, as we said, we like the under in that game as well, but I think that you're going to see the dominance of the Philadelphia defense. And how effective can Eli Manning be right now after sitting on the bench all this time?
Okay, VR.
The second half, the second half, Indianapolis
sorry.
plus the points, as we said, overreaction. Not going to see Tampa Bay getting separation.
All right, VR, you've got 1 minute. Give me your teaser.
Yeah, I'll be quick. And again, key numbers we're going through with both of these, and I like them a lot. And I don't really bet teasers. I don't need more volume. It's the last thing I probably need. So I'm going to go with Arizona, teasing them up plus 8.5, going through 3 through 7. And we're going to do the same thing with the Oakland Raiders, through 3 through 7, getting up to plus 9. So Arizona plus 8.5, Oakland plus 9. 2 home dogs getting almost double digits. Till you run out of money, you could bet that one.
I like it. Both of them are, I'm looking at getting minus 125, but for some reason it's going to let me bet it 1,200 to get a dime back. Let's go. Both over 9. I like that teaser. Marco, I got to take a second look at yours because I just cannot trust the Philadelphia Eagles right now, but you're absolutely right. If they lose to the New York Giants, that organization might be set on fire in Philly because the Philly fans have about had enough with Nelson Aguilar and Carson Wentz. Man, that would be let's just say this nicely. The NFC East is a dumpster fire, and that would absolutely prove that to be a fact. Time for us to take a quick break. When we return, that's right, we're going to the Steam Game of the Week. And do we have the sandwich or the trap from Mr. Marco D'Angelo and his deli?
Looking for more NFL betting info? Then tune into the Presidential Address each week when WagerTalk's own Lawrence Presman, the Prez, along with Ralph Michaels, break down this week's entire NFL card. The show is available every week exclusively at WagerTalk TV. If you like betting on horses, be sure to check out WagerTalk.com's own Sig, who zeroes on one racetrack at a time, offering his handicapping skills. Visit his homepage daily for his top selection in each race free. If you want all his selections for that track, you can get his full racing report for just $9.
All right, this is one of my favorite segments. You know why? Because we're making money. That's right. VR is going to bring us his NFL game, Steam Game of the Week. Marco and his deli are either open for business or he's going to tell you, watch out because that game's a trap. Gianni, I'm going to start with you. Tell us what your NFL Steam Game of the Week is.
I'm going to go with a side here, a nice little home dog, and we're going with the Arizona Cardinals over the Pittsburgh Steelers. There's some threes, but some sharp action picking off those threes. That's why you're seeing a lot of 2.5s. And the reason the Sharps like the Arizona side, and I agree with it, is Pittsburgh's coming off their biggest game of the season, arguably. I mean, that was a very satisfying win against the Cleveland Browns. That was a big game for Pittsburgh to show up and not let Cleveland beat them twice in a season after dominating them for decades. So, now the Steelers, who got to go on the road, I think this is the third time they're going on the road in 4 weeks, where Arizona, they've played their worst 2 games the last 2 weeks of the season. And if there's one thing I've learned from the gentleman next to me through the years is, it really shows up year after year, is no team's ever as good or as bad as they look in any 1 week. And you could take advantage of that in the NFL, unlike most sports, because they only play once a week. And you have all week to dissect how bad that team played or how good that team played. So for me, I think there's a lot of value on the Arizona side. I think they win this game outright.
VR, I like it. I also agree with you. We talked about this in the earlier segment, Inside the Numbers, about how there's an overreaction. And as you mentioned, these are still professional athletes.
Yeah.
As bad as they might have been the week before, like the LA Rams we've talked about, maybe they're not as bad as we saw on Monday night. Sure enough, go in there and absolutely dominate. Congrats to Ralph for hitting his best bet on Sunday. And thank you for sharing with me. We'll get to Ralph here in a moment. But first, Marco, is the deli back open for business? Because the deli has been just handing out cash with those turkey sandwiches.
Yeah, we lost one last week, and
It happens.
Twitter was not happy with
Really?
me. No.
Well, you know what?
9-4.
When you're going into 9-3 on the season, people are expecting you to win every single one the rest of the way out.
I'm sorry. Well, guys, you might not like this sandwich this week. Kelly, have you ever, first of all, do you actually make sandwiches at home, or do you just call Uber Eats or something?
Usually, if I go to get sandwiches, I usually go to a gourmet place.
Okay.
It's just so much better. There's actually a proven scientific theory, Marco, that says if someone else makes a sandwich for you, it tastes better.
I can buy that.
I believe it.
But with this week's sandwich, have you ever gone in, Ace, and you pulled the lunch meat out of the refrigerator?
Oh, come on. Don't give me...
And you can't remember what day you went to the grocery store and bought that? So then you give it the little sniff
Smell
test.
test.
You know what? It's not that bad. Go ahead. Slap it on there. Well, that's what we're going to do this week. We're going to the Oakland Raiders are the sandwich game of the week. And this is, because this is lunch meat that's been in the refrigerator for a while. Have you seen the last 2 games they've played?
They've been atrocious.
They have been.
Well, their stock got really high. People were starting to back the Raiders. Hey, this team's going to make the playoffs.
Well, the Jet game, they were looking ahead to Kansas City. And then Kansas City, they just got the snot knocked out of them.
Because it's Kansas City.
But what we're looking at here with Tennessee, this is the sandwich situation in the NFL, maybe the best one that we've had all year. Who did Tennessee play last
Indianapolis.
week? Indianapolis. What was it? They were both tied for second place in the AFC South. It was a big game. A lot of people said that was an elimination game. The team that won continues on a quest for the playoffs. Well, who do they got next week? They've got the Houston Texans, the team that is leading the division that they're chasing. You're coming off putting away Indianapolis last week. You got Houston on deck, and you look at who you got in front of you.
And you got to fly to Oakland.
Got to fly. And you talk about shitholes. The Coliseum. the Coliseum.
Oh my God. I don't know if you're allowed to say that on TV.
Okay. Well, did you see in baseball season a couple of years ago?
They played in a baseball stadium.
The bathrooms backed up. There was. It is what I said.
Okay, great.
You don't get excited about that.
How many times can Marco gross me out on one episode? I think we're at 3.
Get that almost spoiled lunch meat, put it on there.
Make it a turd sandwich.
And they all cash the same, and they smell great whenever you're cashing a ticket, and then you can go buy a real sandwich. Take it, Oakland.
I like it.
I'm taking Oakland plus the points, and
you got to sprinkle, of course.
Why wouldn't you sprinkle? All right. I saved plenty of time for our resident stat man, Ralph Michaels. He's coming up next for some TNA. I can't wait to see what Ralph has dug up for us this week. All right, it's that time for our resident stat man, Mr. Ralph Michaels. Ralph, what have you got for me this week?
Well, Kelly, normally we have team systems that fit into systems and teams that fit in, but this has been one of my favorite over-under angles, and I've used it numerous times last year, and I'm going to be on it again this time. So, there's times that I put more stock into team angles and times you put less stock. Certainly it helps you look at a team and if you think the game is going to be played that way. But the Steelers, when they're on the road against a team that likes to pass a lot, a team that averages 35 or more pass attempts.
Okay.
They're 0-23 over-under.
Whoa.
And if you go back a few more years.
That is a crazy sample size.
But, Pittsburgh as an away favorite.
Okay.
Just simply that is 3-21 against the spread.
Well, we've talked about Mike Tomlin before and how he just is not a good road favorite, and he's a good home underdog.
Well, the defense does their job. The defense shuts teams down, and their defense is built to shut down pass-happy teams. So, again, when Pittsburgh is on the road versus a team that averages 35 or more pass attempts, the last 23 times has gone under the total. So, that's simple. Now we're going to get very vague.
Okay.
And you've been gambling for years, Marco and VR and I all have. And, back in the day, there was a huge difference between grass and turf.
Okay.
You handicapped games completely differently with AstroTurf and how grass worked. Well, AstroTurf got better, grass didn't fall apart as much. But if you go back to 2015 and you look at the month of December, what happens in December? Grass gets chewed up. College kids are playing on it. There's bowl games. You have inclement weather. Absolutely. If you play artificial turf games, you've gone 116 and 126, 48% over, 52% under, basically break even.
Okay.
But games on natural grass in December, going back since 2015, 138, 210.
Wow.
40% to the over, almost a 60% underplay by just saying, if the game's on grass in December, we're going to bet the game under. So, there are times to make a difference. And again, we don't do it very often. If you go to WagerTalk and you look at the NFL Matrix box on the top, it has a grass artificial turf option.
Really?
Where people are playing and they could pull down how teams have done in certain situations. So bring it back into play, at least for this month, and think about it when we get that inclement weather.
And so those teams this week to play the unders would be...
Well, that's just plain old grass anywhere in December.
Matter.
It doesn't.
Oh, wow.
That is just playing. I'm not even listing the teams because I don't want to specify just the certain teams this week. It's any team at home on grass in the month of December.
Okay.
It's that simple of a search where it doesn't take any work. So now let's look at another situation, and this one... I was flabbergasted. I was on WagerTalk's Presidential Address with Prez last night, and I was playing around just with some situations. And there's times we look at handicaps and we try to overanalyze things. We put in too many scenarios. If this, and this happens, or if this and this happens. How about if I just simply told you, in the last 5 years, if you played a team that was an away favorite one week and an away favorite the second week? That's simple.
Okay.
You're an away favorite for the second week in a row. You have gone 10-42 over under. 19.2% to the over, 81% to the under if there's an away favorite the second straight week. Chargers against the Jags are under, Tennessee against Oakland under. So I know that goes against some other things we're talking about on the show, but just keep that thought in your head when it works. And let's look at a couple team specifics now. A non-division team off an away win that has averaged less than 27 points per game the last 3. So non-division later in the year, is it more important or less? That's up in the air. You're off an away win, so you're doing well. But you won that game because probably your defense is doing well because you've averaged under 27 points per game. That record, 7 overs, 43 unders.
What?
And 2 pushes. That's the Bills-Ravens under, Tennessee-Oakland under, and New Orleans-San Francisco under.
Wow, that is...
Good defensive teams and offensive teams, less than 27 points per game over their last 3 games as an average.
As a sample size of that large, 7, 43, and 2, So are you blindly playing these 3 unders? That's my question. Or do you need a little bit more than that? I mean, that is a significant trend, Ralph.
Well, yeah, you're looking at, you have Tennessee and Oakland. Tennessee and Oakland fall in all 3 situations
that
don't commingle. So you certainly, I wouldn't bet the over. That's for sure. So will it get me on the under? I'm not sure. Would it keep me off the over? Absolutely. Because grass, December. Well, we know Oakland's grass sucks anyway because you still have the baseball field. Away favorite. Tennessee's an away favorite twice in a row. That's a 10-42 record. Away favorite, averaging less than 27 points, like Tennessee is, 7-43. Add those 3 together, and it's tough not to at least put it in consideration. And here's one again, and I hate when the angles go against what the guys have as plays, but, these are just angles not to be specifically used for today, but to write down and learn how these teams are playing and see if these situations follow. Teams off a win as a home favorite that scored 35 or more points. It's that simple. You won, you're in a positive mode, your offense has done well, you scored 35 points. Last 2.5 years, 21-3 against the spread. That is KC against New England, and sorry to say, Seattle against your Rams. And the last one isn't really an angle, but I just want to let you know how little it happens. In the last 31 years, there's only been 25 times teams with over 9 wins and under 3 losses have met. So 10-2 teams or 11-1 teams. Home team 19-15. So a rarity it certainly is that we see the Saints and the Rams. The Saints and the 49ers this week.
Okay, great stuff from Ralph. Time for us to take a quick break. But when we return, Barking Dogs. That's right. One of my favorite segments is up next.
This week only, take $100 off a 30-day all-access package from your favorite capper at WagerTalk.com or SportsMemo.com. This will get you every play in all sports, including 5% plays that sell for $40 by themselves. And with a 30-day all-access package, you'll get all the big college bowl games. Hurry, as this offer ends Monday at midnight. Just use coupon code VIP249 to get 30 days for $249. Want up-to-the-minute scores and odds direct from Las Vegas? Then check out our WagerTalk odds page. You'll get all the latest lines along with moves as they happen from all the biggest books in Las Vegas, including Westgate Superbook, Circa, Golden Nugget, Wynn, Stations, CG, and South Point, just to name a few. Best of all, it's absolutely free.
This Sunday, I'm making my biggest bet so far of the NFL season. I absolutely love the scheduling dynamic of this play, along with the numbers supporting this play. The line is sitting right where I want it, so all systems are go, and I have already released this play. And bet it, you can get this 5% play for Sunday. Normally sells for $40. But I'm going to give all my loyal followers a coupon code to get this game for half price. Just enter coupon code MD20 at checkout and you'll receive $20 off, making your final cost just $20 instead of the normal $40 price. Just go to WagerTalk.com right now and get my 5% NFC major wager for Sunday.
Welcome back to my favorite portion of the show. That's right. You guys know I love those underdogs. It is Barking Dogs time. VR, I'm kicking it to you first because I know you love those sprinkles. Who are we sprinkling on?
I'm sprinkling away right here. And Mark already touched on it, and it's the Oakland Raiders. Tennessee's looked great since Tannehill's come on board. They've won 5 of 6 games. He has not looked like the same Tannehill that was in Miami, but it's been Derrick Henry and Tennessee playing good defense, and they've been able to put up some points. But I think Oakland's live here. This is a team that everyone's just given up on based on 2 weeks, where I was wrong with Oakland. Coming into the season, I did not think they were going to be able to outperform their season win total, and they're 1 win away from doing that. So they played better than even I expected, but it seems to me that their stock's as low as it's been all season, in fact. So this is when I want to back a team like Oakland at home, and I like the situational spot that Marco touched on in his sandwich game. So for me, it's Oakland, baby.
All right, Marco.
Well, I'm going to touch on one that you touched on already, buddy.
God, it's just a love fest over here.
All
with
right,
the
that's a
Raiders
good
fans.
thing. That's a good thing.
Is it? Because we all
like
have the
when we-
Vikings on
yeah,
Monday
that's
night.
true.
That is 2 Monday nights in a
true.
row
All right.
that you guys, Monday night's just not our night.
It hasn't gone well for me.
I'm just gonna say that. Okay, Marco.
Well, at least the last 2 Monday nights have not been enjoyable. And this play is not going to be enjoyable for me because I'm going to talk about the Pittsburgh Steelers at Arizona. You know I'm a big Steeler fan, but you also know I will bet against this team in a heartbeat when the situation is right. Like a couple weeks ago when they went to Cleveland, we had a big play on the Cleveland Browns. We got the money. We've got probably a big play here. And this is a horrible spot for the Steelers. As you said, that was a big, big game for the Steelers last week for many reasons. One, let's start with the revenge factor. The Thursday night game and what happened at the end of that game, it's the reason that Tomlin made the switch from Mason Rudolph. He wasn't getting the job done. Plus, he didn't want to have the circus atmosphere of him in that game with the way that first game ended. So in comes Devlin Hodges, and this is a spot where the Duck Man got it done. He is, Tomlin says, he's not killing us, okay, which was a shot at Mason Rudolph with the turnovers. Got the job done. Now they're going on the road. What's been the history of Coach Tomlin?
Not good as a favorite, right? On the road?
Playing teams that are inferior.
Well, we know that he does really well as a home underdog. And now we know that he does really bad as a road favorite with teams that are sub 500.
Yeah, way 500. With teams that are bad teams that are losing by more than an average of 6 points per game. Tomlin, in his career as the Pittsburgh Steelers head coach, the Steelers are just 11-22 against the spread in that spot. That's a 33% win percentage. I'm sorry. You fade him in that situation.
That says something about the coach.
You're absolutely.
If you can't get your team up for inferior opponents.
Well, we know he gets his team up for divisional opponents.
Yeah,
we know he gets his team up as a
for
home
big
underdog.
games, yeah. But why,
I mean,
when you should dominate? I like those teams that when they should, they do it.
And the other part is the public's going to look and see that Arizona got absolutely clubbed by
the
Rams. And they're also going to look and say, didn't the Steelers just beat the Rams a couple of weeks ago? So the old ABC factor. Well, if Pittsburgh could beat the Rams and the Rams could beat Arizona,
then
that means the Steelers should just
obvious,
annihilate Arizona. No, it's not going to happen. And actually, with the game being in Arizona, I talked to Lori. I was like, I should go, but I said, if I'm going to make that 5-hour drive to Arizona,
you should not go to watch them lose. I agree.
To see them lose,
when I'm going to have money on the other side, that wouldn't be
probably
fun.
Not the game you want to go to.
But it's
I mean, it might be fun. You guys could win by a last-minute field goal. Win, I don't know, 21-19 or something.
Yeah, I would need a 20. I would need a 21-20.
Missed extra point.
Pittsburgh, yeah.
Miss PAT or weird safety, something weird to happen in the game.
We've seen that happen too many times this year with the things. But this is a spot, Kelly. Horrible spot for the Steelers. They finally control their own destiny, and we know what happens when that happens.
Okay.
This is bad spot, look ahead spot.
So we've got the Oakland Raiders and Arizona. I like those barking dogs. We have now broke down this week's NFL card every which way. So it's time to roll out this week's best bets. Who's ready to go first?
I'm ready to go.
VR's
I'm chomping at the bit to share
go.
this one. And here's the reason why. I don't think pretty much in the history of the show I've been able to bet this team.
Oh, man.
And usually I'm on the other side because, again, I have no choice in the matter. And I'm going to bet the New England Patriots this week with a big smile on my face. Win or lose, I am so certain without any doubt that I am getting the best of it. In fact, not only am I going to bet the New England Patriots, but I'm going to tell you the best bet on there. And you could grade it at -3. I don't care about the grading. I'm concerned about cashing my ticket. And I'm betting New England on the money line. At -150, to me, that's an absolute joke. At 150, 155 right now. And I think Kansas City money's going to come in. And that money line may drop even and really make it tasty. But again, New England's just that team that, listen, they haven't looked their best of late. They've now lost, back-to-back games, something New England doesn't do. But there's something else New England doesn't do. They don't lose at home. You just don't go to New England and win football games. Historically,
It's very, very tough to go in
to go in.
Foxborough,
And the fact
yes.
I'm able to get this team where at minus 150, the break-even point is 60%. And their probability of winning at home on Sunday far exceeds 60%. So for me, again, my goal is to place good bets and to be pretty confident that that's a good bet. And then I hope that the teams go out there and do what they're expected to do. That doesn't always happen, but sometimes you could still make a great bet and not cash it. I think we're going to cash this one. And again, I have no doubt it's a great bet. Get New England -3. This suggests on a neutral field, Kansas City's pretty much even with them, or maybe even better, because I think New England's got one of them home fields that are even higher than that 3 points, probably 3.5 points based on how good they play there. So again, because of Kansas City, how they've looked and how New England's looked of late, we're getting a ton of value on probably one of the best teams in the NFL.
I think it's interesting, too, because now all the talking heads are, see, we told you the Patriots
Yeah, they haven't
was
played
coming.
no one. They're phony.
Yeah, they're phony.
Yeah.
Tom Brady's
come to Foxborough.
done.
Come
He's
to
got
Foxborough.
a noodle arm. The only thing that I hate about this game is I laid the 3.5 last year with the Patriots.
Yeah,
and they took their foot off the gas in the second half. They still won the game. They did not cover. If I'm going to back you here.
That's why I say
with the
money
Pats.
line's so much value,
I'm going
150. I know we don't like to lay it, and we're so used to laying points in football, but we do it in baseball every single day without a problem.
That is
we
true.
do it in NHL. We do it in MMA every single day. So if you're betting NFL and that's the best bet instead of the points, why would you always take the run line and not the money line?
That's very true. Good point. All right. I got to breathe a deep sigh there because I don't want to lay 155 here, but I'm going to do it. Thank you, VR. Marco, your best bet for this NFL
I'm
Sunday.
just actually, I got to take your temperature. And
I
got to see if you're okay.
I
because
couldn't believe
you
it.
just went on a 3-minute analysis on New England and Kansas City, and you didn't once mention
The best regular season team?
quarterback. You didn't talk about Mahomes at all.
I don't want I want it getting longer.
All right, I'm
The
going.
KC fans have already done that job.
All right, you ready where I'm going?
I'm ready.
You see the notes. You know where I'm going.
I don't know where you're going. This is a surprise
I
for
do.
me.
Well, I got to see Marco's notes ahead of time
Okay,
now.
yeah. Chargers at Jacksonville. I know everybody's waiting
God.
for this game.
I'm like, do I have any even opinion
Yeah.
on that?
Okay.
I'm looking at it right now going, why?
Okay.
I mean,
Am
I
I-
see your
am
I
I-
don't
notes.
even
am I
know
take-
what side he's going to give. I swear, I can't even tell
I'm
you.
not taking Jacksonville. I'm not taking the Chargers.
Okay.
I'm taking the total.
Going
Okay.
over.
I'm going over.
Oh,
And
that,
this
that I could see Marco going
okay,
over
this
there.
is here's the thing. Both these teams,
We've
they're
worked
dead
together now how many years?
They're dead in the water. You're late in the season. When you get games like this, teams that had expectations of being in the playoffs, Jacksonville signed Nick Foles. Their season had all
I
that
had their
hope.
over-season win
They
total.
were just 2 years removed from being in the Super Bowl, one play away from being in the Super Bowl, if you remember.
Oh, yeah, that was another loser in Foxborough.
Yeah, they were
I know.
supposed to beat
okay.
KC week 1, remember, at home.
This is a team that's dead in the water, and you look at their defense. What's their defense done? They've given up 28, 42, 33, 26 points the last 4 weeks. The Nick Foles era looks like it's done. What did he say? Had 4 games as the Jacksonville quarterback. They brought Minshew in last week. Got him, a late score in the game. A little bit of excitement. Yay!
Yeah, I think when you lose to the Bucs, you're
What a charmed
Okay.
life, though, Foles has.
Yeah.
Wins a Super Bowl, gets a ton of money,
Gets
doesn't even have to
paid.
play anymore.
Gets paid, yeah. And then the Chargers, they go to Denver and lose, okay? Where's their defense going to be, this week? They've given up 23, 24, 26 the last 3 weeks, but here's the important part. This is going to be their second week in a row on the road, their third week in a row on the road in 4 games, and last week's game, you talk about fatigue. Where'd they play? They played in the altitude of Denver. Now they got to travel all the way across country to play Jacksonville. This is one of those games we do it. Ace, remember we always talk about at the end of the NBA season when you get into those finals.
Yeah, and how much more effort it takes to play defense.
It
You
takes
always
more
said that.
effort to play defense. We're going to see this is going to be like the games you used to have on Thanksgiving, afternoon in the backyard with the pickup football game.
Yeah, exactly.
Both teams are going to go up and down the field. This total is based on what people have seen these offenses do recently. 43 is a joke on this total. I've got 50 points being scored in this one. That is my best bet. Going over the total. Get it now, folks. It's going to go up.
Cheer 'em in.
All right. I can hear it now. I can see my Twitter timeline, and I just don't care. At this point in time, I don't care. I have to go with what the numbers are telling me and what the situation's telling me, and that's the LA Rams. By the time this airs, the ones are going to be gone. I had 1.5 when I got to the studio.
They're going to go to favorite.
And I played it. It's already at a pick 'em in most spots. There's still a couple ones floating around. VR's right. The LA Rams are going to close as a favorite, probably -1, even maybe -1.5. And that's because the money's agreeing with me here. I said this last week about Seattle. I don't know what to make of the Seattle team. They, at that time, were 1-5 against the spread as a home favorite. The one exception was when Marco and I lost because Meyer did not missed the field goal, went to overtime, so of course they covered against the Bucs. Otherwise, they haven't. But you know what they have done? They've covered on the road. You know who's really good in primetime? Russell Wilson. So that's all I'm going to hear all week.
The Kansas City of the NFC. That's
fair enough, and that's exactly what it is. This Marco hit the nail on the head during the opening segment, is that this LA Rams team has not quit. That was absolutely apparent last week against the Cardinals. No, I wanted no business in that game. I'm sitting at the Westgate with Mr. Ralph Michaels, and he said, well, my best bet today, or my whatever percent play, is the LA Rams. And I'm going, God, do I really want to lay points on the road with this Rams team? And he was right. They got up for a divisional opponent. They're going to get up for this divisional opponent too. Last week, 424 yards, 2 touchdowns from Mr. Jared Goff. He still has a lot to prove here. Now, don't forget, as Marco also reminded us during the opening segment, Greg Zuerlein missed that late field goal to get the win when we were all hanging out at some steakhouse at the top of the world.
Scotch?
At the Rio for the WagerTalk.
Oh, okay. Yeah.
Owners dinner. That was really fun. And that missed field goal was painful. They didn't get the win, but hey, they did get the cover. They ended up losing 30-29 in week 5. Again, I understand there's going to be a lot of case here for the Seattle team. I just don't think the Seattle team is as good as everybody's making them out to be. VR touched on it as well. They have had moments of greatness, but the math
plus 36-point differential, Kelly.
It's going to catch up to them, and I think it catches up to them this week against a really solid defense. Not to mention they have a short week here. It's only one day, but less practice time after that Monday night game against a divisional rival. The Rams need this win. It's a revenge spot. I'm going all in. My best bet, the LA Rams. Almost scarier than VR's Pats play, but I'm going to do it. Okay, guys, we are going to step out for a quick break. When we return, that's right, it's our final thoughts on this week's action. So for those of you that watch this entire show, thank you for staying with us. We're going to reward you handsomely. For all of those that fast forward to the end, well, you get your wish. You get all of our plays in under 3 minutes. That's up next on Bet On It.
I'm Gianni the Greek Karalis. We're setting up our biggest college football season yet, coming off a 6-2 Friday, 7-3 Saturday. And this week, I'm going to unload a 5% play on Saturday's college football. So we're going to put a package up for $39, the entire Saturday college football card. Then I'll go ahead and toss it in for Sunday as well, because I'm dropping a 5%er there also. So Sunday's NFL card, entire card, $39. That's Saturday, $39, Sunday, $39, all access NFL, all access college football.
Hey guys, I'm Lawrence Presman, the Prez, co-founder of WagerTalk. Excited that you're all watching Bet On It. Just want to tell you guys about our hockey show, Puck Time. It's honestly the best show that I do all week. We do it with all of the hockey talent over at WagerTalk and Sports Memo, from Alex B. Smith to Dave Koken, Carmine Bianco, Buster Sports, myself, and Andrew McGinnis. Different co-hosts every day. It's hockey all the time, and it's one of the best sports to bet on, and certainly the most exciting sport to watch. Check us out 2 p.m. Eastern every day, Monday to Friday, at WagerTalk TV.
All right, let's recap this week's NFL action. We're going to start off with the primetime games. Sunday night, we're all in agreement on the Rams, as I mentioned in the last segment. If you want to bet the Rams, now is the time to do so. It may even be pick 'em by the time this goes live. But we all played the Rams +1. Again, if you like the Rams, get them now. Monday night, the snooze fest, according to Marco D'Angelo. The Giants, Philly, under 46. And VR thinks Archie Manning is going to be starting for the Giants in this game instead of Eli.
Great return.
Because he said that he leans towards the 9.5. But if you can get a 10 out there, which will be short-lived, you should gobble it up as soon as you can. Let's go on to teasers. Marco taking a 7-point teaser here with Philadelphia down to 2.5. getting the Colts up to 10. And VR and I are riding together here. Arizona and Oakland, 6-point teasers, -120. I agree with him on that. As I mentioned, Marco has me a little scared here with the Eagles not losing that game. Steam game of the week, Arizona steamed from 3 down to 2.5. VR said that's worth a little money line sprinkle as well. Sandwich game for Marco. That's right, the Oakland Raiders. Next up, we got some barking dogs. We're going to flip-flop. VR likes the Raiders. Marco likes Arizona. So as we mentioned, for barking dogs and steam and sandwich games,
wow.
Don't forget to sprinkle just a little bit.
Moneyline parlay.
I was thinking that. Yeah. I wasn't going to say that because I get made fun of all the time, but I do agree with you there that it might be worth a little bit of moneyline parlay. Best bet time. Marco's going to the ugliest game on the board that VR and I didn't even look at, basically.
Didn't even know it was on.
Jacksonville and the Chargers over at the 43. Marco thinks nobody's playing defense in this one, and I don't blame him because Chargers probably quit. Jacksonville's probably quit. He said this one's going to be, what'd you say, in the low 50s?
I said 50. We're going to get to 50.
All right, guys, if it doesn't get to 50 and it lands on 49, you guys know his Twitter.
Make sure you let him know how you feel.
VR is going to New England. Shocked he's laying it with the New England Patriots, but I agree with him laying it. But he also said, hey, keep an eye on this one. While we do have -3 on the board, the money line may be worth a better look, especially if you can get -150. And, we've talked about it. I'm playing the LA Rams here. I can't wait to see my timeline. I hope you guys enjoyed tonight's show as much as we did doing it from VR, Gianni, the Greek Gambler, Marco D'Angelo, and myself. As VR always likes to say, make sure you guys smash that like button, give us a thumbs up, subscribe on our YouTube channels. That way you guys never miss an episode, and that way you also don't have to tweet me every single week going, hey, Kelly, when's the next show going to be out? It's almost always out on Wednesday evenings, but this way YouTube tells you when we're out next. Always fun with these two guys. I'm really excited about all the plays this week. Let's get some cash, and until next week, let's bet on it.